Well, hello, it's Bob Baker here. In this recording, I want to talk to you about affirmations. Let's just take a minute to discuss why these things are important. Why do we take the time to recite affirmations to ourselves? What's the benefit? What's the payoff? In fact, hopefully this isn't your situation, but some of us have people in our lives that kind of roll their eyes or make fun of people who do these affirmations. Like, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me. If you remember that from Saturday Night Live from many years ago. Yes, and I admit sometimes, especially when I first started doing affirmations years ago, I felt silly. What am I doing reciting these things to myself? But I continued to do it anyway because I knew there was a benefit on the other side of having a regular practice of doing these things and meditating and journaling and so on. And here's the reason that I have been reciting affirmations to myself for many years and why I have been creating and recording and distributing my own affirmation recordings for the last couple of years now. It's because we as human beings need to, what I call, firm up our filter. You know, there's so much that's going around in our daily lives. There's so much stimuli. And I'm not just talking about the stimulus from the media, but even when we're out in nature, there's the air, there's the trees rustling, there's animals. Our brains can't possibly focus on everything at one time. And so your mind uses filters. It uses different mechanisms to focus on what's most important. And one of the traits that helped our species survive was the ability to recognize threats in the environment. And so we're kind of wired to seek out what's wrong or what might be something that could harm us. And so unfortunately, we're kind of wired to look for the negative or look for the dangerous. And when we think we spot something like that, then fear rises up. But for most of us, not everyone, but for most of us, we don't have those ongoing predatory threats necessarily in our environments. I know they do exist, hopefully not in your world, but for the most part, we're overreacting with fear. And so we have to take the time to firm up our filter and influence that thing that our brain focuses on, and that range of things, I should say. I'm going to use a real simple example. You've probably had this experience too, perhaps when you purchased a car or you purchased something specific, an item of clothing, etc. But years ago, I bought a Honda Element. In fact, I'm still driving it to this day. It's a kind of an unusual looking car. It's a very boxy shape, kind of a smallish SUV, but it has a very unique look. And when I first started driving it, suddenly I started seeing Honda Elements all over the road. And at first I'm thinking, what's going on? Did I start a trend now? Everyone's driving Honda Elements? No, you know that's not the case. They were there the whole time. But Honda Elements and their shape were not top of mind for me. They just blended in with the scenery along with all the other cars. But once I spent time looking at the one that I ended up purchasing, and once I was driving it and I saw it in my driveway every day, it was pretty much imprinted on my brain, and therefore I was kind of then wired to see it everywhere. Every time one passed on the road, I would go, there's another one. So in the same way that we can do that with cars and with items of clothing and shapes and all kinds of stuff, I believe we can do that with our attitude too. So that's why it's important to remind yourself of positivity, remind yourself of confidence and success. And that's really what this is all about. It's training your mind. It's training your body and your soul to seek out the good. Because just like those makes and models of cars are all around you, there is good happening. Not only from people and the actions that you take, you can notice and appreciate the random acts of kindness and positive gestures by people throughout your day, but by being present and looking for the good, you can notice it in the smallest things, in a flower, in a puppy or a kitten or a baby, but even in the majestic, towering trees that perhaps are in your area, or some other thing in nature that you've never stopped and really looked at and appreciated. You just train your mind to look for the good, to expect it, to seek it out, and when you do, you will find it. So let me ask you, did this help? Do you believe in the power of firming up your filter? Do you now see the value in reciting these affirmations? Taking that feeling and embodying it, installing it in your personal operating system, and letting it fuel your activities in the real world. So commit to a regular practice of meditation, of journaling, of reminding yourself of the awesomeness that this life offers. Because we truly do live in an abundant world with an infinite number of examples of positivity and so many reasons that we can and should feel confident and successful. That is my wish for you, to firm up your filter so that you can live a more inspiring and empowered life, and then create a ripple effect and help others feel that way too through your example. All right, thanks for listening. I hope this was helpful. I'm Bob Baker, saying so long for now.